All right, live for the world to see soon-ish, maybe.
Kind of, sort of.
Sorta. We just kind of do. Oh, don't forget to bot inflate our views, guys. Put it on your phones.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Allow YouTube to send notifications. No.
Yeah.
None of my if you people want to know the secret to sanity, it's turn off all your social media notifications.
It's turn off all notifications except for your
Like
favorites
calls and
on
texts.
your. Oh, no, no. Your favorites for calls and texts. It's like only Daisha can break through my no notifications barrier. And like you, family, yeah, and two friends who are still family. But everybody else is notification barriered completely out. And I don't have any notifications for phone calls except for like if I'm if my wife leaves, then I will turn my ringer on. But if I don't, like I don't even have vibrate anymore. I hate my phone making noises. Like I don't like things making noises at me. Ever since I had a kid, and I can't control him just randomly making noises at me and randomly asking me questions, I have muted all other things I can control.
I wish I could do that, but I've got too many other random crazy shit going on.
Oh, dude, I find a way to make it so that it presents itself the way I prefer. So, like, as long as it doesn't need to break my sanity, it has no ringer. But if I need it to break my sanity because it's more important than my sanity, then it can't. Like, that's
Yeah,
what
no,
I love
I
about
get,
it.
I 100% get where you're coming from, but like because of the line of work I'm in, I have to keep certain things online and available.
Oh, yeah. I just have a way for it to be like, oh, I need to look over here, rather than it being like ding, bzz, buzz, ding, buzz, beep, dung.
Yeah.
Because that's
All right.
the hardest to control if you don't take control immediately.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff is starting back up in the pop culture world too. Like I'm happy we've got so much to talk about today.
Dude, it is getting popping lately. Like I
Yeah.
feel like normally January is a dead month, but lately pop culture has been just everywhere. And
Yeah.
not even like for once it's not totally political.
Well, thankfully.
Yeah. Very much thankfully.
Yeah. I'm glad the message that we really don't need, modern day politics and audiences in our fantasy has gotten through.
Took forever, but
It's finally it's finally starting to break in through the folds. That it's just and it's not even. It's just the concept of spewing your politics all the time. Like,
Yeah.
get a life. Like you can't change anything for the next 2 to 4 years. Like it's locked in. Trump isn't going anywhere. They tried to impeach him twice.
Yeah.
But the thing about him is like he's a one and done now.
Right.
He can't
be
go in for a third.
reelected.
So like
Hopefully.
focus on the next things.
I hope it's
there is a way we could get him out in a few years. Like in actually probably about a year. Canada could invade and take over.
Oh, right, yeah. Because I'm going to be the 5th province of Canada. No, thank you.
Actually, we wouldn't make you a province. We've discussed this with Mexico. Everything south of Tennessee, not including California, belongs to Mexico. Everything north belongs to Canada. And we get California because they're basically us anyway.
Yeah.
You and what Marine Corps?
Exactly.
Hey, man. I figure
like the one thing the Marines like live for is a fight on our home turf.
Okay, but hear me out. Just hear me out.
Not live. Shit, I can't read the comments yet.
Hear me out on this though. What if we offer the Marine Corps free pancakes and actual maple syrup with bacon, real bacon, not the weird pea meal bacon, for life,
You
and all the crayons they can eat?
Oh, there it is. Crayon buffet. Got it. There, you had it. Took you. I was wondering. I was waiting for that one. I was like, nope, nope, nope. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how good it is. All right.
There's nothing better than killing the enemy.
Welcome to the Skeleton Crew Episode 8 review by the Ryder Brothers. Nemesis of Eden says, hit that like button, you beautiful beings. That's a good idea. I think I've hit it at least twice.
Thank you.
If everybody else, if you could be so
I
kind
am
to hit
hitting
it
it
3
like
times.
it owes me money.
Tricky bot like that one time when I saw 13,000 likes. It was like, oh my god, we went 5. No, we didn't. But anyway, will we go viral tonight? Well, probably not, because nobody except us and like 5 other people, I guess, watched Skeleton Crew. And we're going to talk about that and why my message of mid-season breaks was clearly mistaken. The only time I was really mad about a mid-season break was freaking Invincible on Prime.
Yeah.
And that was legit. I wasn't the only one. That was a
No.
mid-season break in like what? They stopped in January or what, like freaking it was
like a
month.
3-month break.
And there was like a 3-month break at the worst possible time. So here's right out of the gate why I think Skeleton Crew failed, because it's probably going to get like Ahsoka, going to have a backlog of back viewers that get to it. It's January, it's boring, all the episodes are out, and a lot of people usually like to watch all these serialized shows all at once.
Right.
So, and they do hold up better that way.
Although, to be fair, when the numbers came out in early January, Skeleton Crew was number 1 on Disney+.
For good reason.
Yeah.
But like I said, we can get more into that. But first, we need to, as everyone trickles in from having watched the latest episode, please let us know in the comments if you've watched the episode. If you haven't, we'll probably try to avoid spoilers for 5 minutes, but then it's going to be spoils away.
There's no way to not spoil
the end
this.
of the season, guys. We can't hold it for you at this point. This is, yeah. So, Corione, congratulations. Your prediction of it, right, I guess just go right into spoilers. Congratulations, your prediction was true. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm sure you enjoyed it. So, John, what do you think overall for the series? You're the new daddy in the house, the newest daddy, I should say.
So, I loved it. Like, I am a little disappointed that like the most force we got was Judd. I do like knowing who's next, who's taking on the mantle. That is one thing that I always loved about Marvel, was that the end credits told you who to wait for next. And like Star Wars did it better in terms of here's a little dose of Anakin's childhood. And now we're going to follow Anakin into his teenage years. And then we're going to see what happens when he tries to become a man. And then same with Luke. Here's a little bit of this wanderer. Now we're going to see what he tries to do when he becomes a man. And here's how he becomes a Jedi. Like, that is the one thing I will say Skeleton Crew missed. I don't really care to catch up with anybody. That nobody was special enough for me to be like, I really hope they pop in Mando season 2 or 4. I hope I see them in Grogu. Right. And it's like, and that's not because any of them were bad. And it's not because the show was bad. It's not even because like, I don't want to know what happens to them. More than anything, none of them showed force powers. So for the Star Wars universe, none of them matter until 18 plus. Like, they're just basic people like the rest of us. So grow up and then tell me what you're doing after you grow up, because now you're Andor. Let's see what you got, you know? And especially like, I mean that mostly in terms of like, unless you're going to give us a show about the New Republic actually becoming a well-funded republic. And like at some point you have to decide whether or not you're going to kill the sequel series, because right now we're treading dangerously close to the sequel series in every sense of the word. And I say that because, like, how did the New Republic get to imperial importance without collecting taxes at Atten?
Mhm.
And how did the New Order, like, where did the First Order come from? At Atten. Like,
Maybe.
everything now starts and ends with that Atten, and it's like you just have to kill Rey in the next thing that I see, and I will know that that series is dead. You just have to have a parade of Palpatine's body, and then I will know for sure that the sequel series is real, because only Palpatine would fake his death in that way.
Well, if rumors are to be believed, the understanding of the plan is that at some point in the Ahsoka series, the Emperor will try to use the world between worlds to escape his fate at the end of the Return of the Jedi, and Ahsoka will stab him in the face. No Palpatine means no Rey. No Rey means no sequel trilogy. No sequel trilogy means new universe. And technically, they resurrected Ahsoka using the world between worlds, so it's not impossible to kill a character necessarily using it.
Honestly, that would be such a fun way to do it. Like, they do this twist where your consciousness can be split, and so we see Palpatine escape into the Rayverse, and it's like Disneyland. Like, he actually goes into Disneyland, but as she kills him, his other half goes into Disneyland, and then we see those Rey trilogy just explode instead of the star shooting over, and it's just like a 10-second. It's dead, guys.
Yeah,
it's not. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Nope.
I don't think it matters, because the final sort of death knell for Star Wars at this point was the Acolyte. I mean, that series has done far more damage to the fandom than Last Jedi could have even dreamed. Like, it's not even as
evidenced by the atrocious numbers Skeleton Crew received. Because if Acolyte never happened, we were all ready for Skeleton Crew. Like, if Acolyte was as good as Skeleton Crew would have seen triple the numbers.
Absolutely would have.
But because Acolyte was so bad, there aren't even hate watchers. Like, if we weren't passionate Star Wars fans that will suffer the dark side to find the Skeleton Crew, then we would have never watched. We would have joined everybody else and been done with it.
That's only part of the damage, though. We loved
Star Wars so much, we gave it a chance.
That's only part of the damage. The bigger part of the damage is that a lot of the fandom is still talking about and promoting it like it's causing more of a divide. It's not an issue of, okay, here's a few Acolyte cultists and that's all there is to it. There's literally posts I come across on X Twitter every other day or every other week, I guess now. It's not always like every day. But there's posts I come across that are constantly people like, oh man, Acolyte was way better than you remember, or oh, I can't wait for season 2. We need to redo the Acolyte, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and I know that part of it is the
I think that's bot baiting, dude. I think Kathleen is spending her money on bots, because I don't know what she's spending it on. It's obviously not good films.
Yeah.
Well, okay, hear me out on this. And I want to put this forward as
real quick. Cosmic Vader says, so this is how Star Wars dies, with silent apathy.
Well, hear me out on this, because I think partly the fandom is to blame, but not in the way people think that I'm going to say. hear me out. I think that the reason why the Acolyte got so much play and wasn't just ignored because of its stupidity is because of the way the YouTube algorithm works. That hate clicks are still clicks. And if people are talking about things people hate, they're willing to jump on the bandwagon and watch the full video. So I think because we all got together and voiced our displeasure about this series, that's why it keeps coming up for us in the algorithm. And because it keeps coming up for us in the algorithm, there are guys like me who have programs that say, hey, this is what the most popular things in this genre are right now. So record videos on it. And one of them will be the Acolyte, and they'll say, hey, I despise the Acolyte too. And we'll jump on the bandwagon. And what'll happen then is we'll get hordes of people on this. And now those same people that are like putting a second story on their house because of all the money they're making from hating on the Acolyte can't let that go if they want to keep making that kind of sweet, sweet money. So it's not really the fans per se. It's the leaders of the fandom that are farming hate instead of trying to focus on positive stuff that's actually good in the fandom. I think that might be primarily what is killing Star Wars. Is yes, there's bad parts of Star Wars, but then why don't we ignore them and move on to the good parts of Star Wars so that they see the, Lucasfilm execs go, oh, nobody's talking about this part, but they're really talking about that part. We should focus on that.
Well, yeah, and Cosmic Vader says, let's address the Bantha in the room. There's a portion of the YouTube sphere whose income depends on shitting on Disney Star Wars no matter what. So yeah. I think that's part of it, but then it's like the other part of it is there's legitimate Acolyte fans. They do exist. And I know that some of the channels Cosmic Vader mentions, usually they'll have the idea of, oh, well, no, there's nobody watching the Acolyte. It's all made up. We got to stop saying it. There's fans of the sequel trilogy. There's fans of Rey. There's fans of the Acolyte. It's unfortunate, but they do exist, and that's where we're at, and that's why we're not gonna see. I mean, if we see a timeline change in Ahsoka season 2, great, but I'm not holding my breath at this point because, like I said, the damage of the Crapolite is pretty much there. Dahlia Lightwood says, "Hey everyone, hey Dahlia Lightwood, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're all staying warm further north. Down here in the Keys, we're down to like, what's the temperature now? 62? 63? No, correction. Freaking deep freeze. Oh, it's still 67? Oh, that's almost going out weather.
Well, as I posted on Facebook recently, as a Canadian weather witch, every time your president-elect threatens our sovereignty, we're sending you our weather. You're welcome.
Yeah, you need to stop it, dude. It's, you know what? You may go all the way to Homestead, but the Keys, the Conch Republic is its own thing. You need to just keep that crap up further north. Anyway,
all I can tell you, my friend, is the avalanches started. Yeah, the avalanches started. It is too late for the Pebbles to vote.
Cosmic Vader says, I know of a certain popular YouTuber that signed a petition to renew the Acolyte precisely to shit on it.
Yeah, this is the problem.
So between the Acolyte and between releasing a show during the holidays, so I think the hard lesson is learned. We have the regular TV show schedule for a reason, okay? It's, you start in September, you stop in November just before Thanksgiving, and you come back for the new year, a week after the new year. You know why? Because people still travel to see their families. People want to gather around and watch their favorite Christmas movie, not some, kind of nostalgia bait show about kids in space. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, Star Wars Goonies is good.
Not really quite my favorite either. Honestly, I don't know if I'll rewatch this. If I do, it'll probably be later on, but this one didn't really excite me as much. It was just kind of more of a nostalgia rub. Now, I'm of course, I don't have kids, so
fair.
It's not like, but like I said, evaluating it purely from the writing perspective, from the story perspective, from the plot, it did what it needed to, and I was satisfied with this ending. It was a pretty contained story. There's no like stupid ass loose ends or, you know, oh my god, what's in the mystery box. They didn't have that. It was just kids going on an adventure. So I will say, yes, as far as Star Wars goes, it is on the good tier, but definitely not Andor, definitely not Ahsoka, definitely not Mando season 2 caliber. So, but
well, I mean, you don't have kids, but you do have Jay. So I mean, it's kind of like having a kid.
That's
not entirely I would go so far as to say it's a great start that would have been awesome before the sequel series. Like, if this is what they had teased new Star Wars with, if the Disney's like, this is our first test back in the waters, then I want to see the 4 shows that come from these 4 kids. I want to see the new Avengers that is Star Wars, right? Because you have that. But my biggest issue with that is like, this is what we said you were supposed to do before you released Acolyte, after you released Obi-Wan, after you released Force Awakens, after you released The Last Jedi, after you released Skywalker Rises from the dark side of Palpatine's asshole. Like, we have been telling you this, and I get, like, there are the other YouTubers that are making a bunch of money on this thing. But if you notice, those guys are also making a bunch of money hating on everything. They are the definition of the dark side. Hate begets hate. That's why we started the show. Our show is not about what we hate. It's about what we love. And if we hate something within that universe, we'll talk about it because we love the universe and we want to get rid of the cancer. Well, Skeleton Crew is the first.
And hold on. I gotta add to your thing to clarify one last qualifier, of course, and we're gonna do so honestly, from our real opinions as people. You're not always gonna necessarily agree with our takes. You're probably not even gonna necessarily agree with John at all. But we agree with putting everybody's voice out here. That's why we read your comments. For example, Cosmic Vader says, unless he was lying about it, which wouldn't be far-fetched since he has proven himself to be a scumbag, the kind that chooses money over friends, in reference to the person who signed the petition. Dahlia Lightwood says, yeah, YouTuber review channels have become complete fake garbage. Not sure who even watches those anymore. Somehow Palpatine returned. Most unintentionally funny Star Wars line ever. Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
It's literally...
But it's not even funny. It also wasn't even, like... The amount of times people talk about the somehow Palpatine return, like, that is, it's Morpheus. It's Morbin time. Like, the amount of hate and vitriol that somehow convinced the studio that people actually wanted to watch Morpheus a second time in the theater, that's somehow Palpatine return. Like, that's the amount of... You're reading tea leaves just because you figured out what tea is. It doesn't mean you know how to read the market. And just because you can read the entirety of the market's thoughts doesn't mean, like, I hate to say this because it makes me sound like a fanboy, but Joe Rogan is right. Stop reading the comments. Like,
even though every Joe Rogan podcast lately has been the same, but yeah.
Joe Rogan's never changed. His podcast is the exact same every single episode. It's weird. I'll take breaks and I'll come back and be like, didn't miss anything. I could go back and watch those other guys.
And when we say don't read the comments, I would actually say on large channels. On channels like ours where you can actually have legit discussions, like, by all means, go through the comments because some of our comments are actually really good.
No.
right? And
So
have
this is
good
what I mean by
meaning.
don't read the comments. Don't read the comments. Meet the commenters.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're the people, like, if you see us saying we liked your show, reach out to us and ask why, and then go back to work.
Yeah, and
That's
I mean,
the thing. Like, that's the trick. Like, what they're doing right now is they're finding the 500 comments that they liked and saying, see, we did it right. These people agree. You guys are just negative Nancy's. And it's like, are you cherry picking? And it's like, are we cherry picking? And we thought we were. That's why we watched every episode of The Acolyte. That's why we watched every episode of Halo Season 1. So we watched every episode of Kenobi.
I watched one episode, and then that's all we have formally reviewed on the channel.
I watched all of it.
I'm so
and
sorry.
I never saw season 2.
Yeah, I dropped season. I refused to watch season 2. There was nobody that could pay me enough money to watch season 2.
And that's the proof in my appreciation. I love the Halo games nowhere near as much as I love the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Like the Halo franchise was cool. Oh well, season 1 sucked. Season 2 didn't get a taste. Yeah. I've watched every Star Wars ever.
Dolly Lightwood says, I laughed out loud in the theater when he said somehow Palpatine returned. I actually shouted, yes, we're doing this. People cracking up. It was great. Oh, good. I'm glad you had a good time. I think when in my theater, they said it, and I heard, like, people whispering, are you fucking kidding me? Like, there was so much disdain. It was great. The problem is, people have become so stupid that fake reviews are entertainment because it's complete brain rot. And that's what we've tried to be.
We try to make this
and that's
better.
Not even try. This is what we're going to do. We're going to continue to do, is what I'm going to say. We're going to continue to be the honest voice. Yeah, the algorithm hates us. Yeah, we're probably shadow banned half the time because we say censored words on Saturday's show. But, you can't really be a platform of free speech if you don't try free speech. And, yeah, we'll play within the YouTube rules, and we certainly won't promote anything illegal. However, that's why we try to be entertaining, but we also try to be genuine about it. We try to have fun, but we also don't want to mislead or, as Dahlia says, become so fake with our heads up our asses that, we don't even know what the narrative... Because, holy crap, there are some leaks going around about Star Wars that we're going to get into that are just crazy.
So let's get into right now, Skeleton Crew as a series. Let's just go around and talk about what we actually liked about it, like what worked in this series, because I think that's important points to bring up. And we can also go through what we would have fixed.
Whoa, real quick. This one's, I think, worth our attention.
Yeah.
Dahlia says, many people can't tell the difference between fact and fiction. The same thing is happening with cooking channels.
Yeah.
People are making fake recipes and people are so stupid. Great. So the Tide Pod cake is going to be a thing now. Cool. Good to know.
I mean, I'd be very tempted to bake an actual legit cake, but make it look like a Tide Pod for the humor of it.
Right. And I think someone actually did do this. Somebody made like Tide Pod gel snack. Which apparently they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, little gummy snacks. Said, I watched a fake video of someone whipping melted ice cream into frosting that's not even possible.
Yeah, that's not a thing. Well, okay.
Oh, God.
Hold on.
Let's my fair share of a contribution doing this by taking.
Hold on. Let's actually do the culinary science here. You could take the ice cream. If you could separate out the cream from it by melting it and decrease the amount of sugar, you might be able to get it to the consistency of buttercream, but it's not going to be a good icing.
No, it's not.
So,
all right. So
maybe doable, but not well.
Yeah. So yeah, Corey, you were going to say something to think about how.
So let's talk about what worked in the series, right?
Yes.
So to me, I think going back to the basics, starting with a young group of kids on a unexpected adventure, unexpected journey. I think was the right way to do. We got brand new characters on a brand new world, in a, living in the kind of dream adventures that we all wanted to take as a kid. I think this very formulaically, in a good way, followed the hero's journey. And the reason why I say following the hero's journey as a formula works is because it's always worked. Every great story humanity has about an individual or group of people has followed the hero's journey. And because it works, that's why we use it. So I think those were two critical points on it. I think they took us on a ride where we were discovering this part of the universe through the eyes of the kids, and there was very little exposition dumps, which was good. I also think that having the villain who is our friend trope done the way they did it was actually quite well. We all knew from, was
The
second
opening
appearance
credit.
on. Yeah, like he was not a good dude. But we were hoping he was just good enough to help these kids. And watching him get progressively darker as he gets closer to his goal was actually really well done. So we didn't just have a hero's journey, we almost had a villain's journey, if you will, alongside it. And that was very well and very cleverly intertwined. So those are the things I really enjoyed. Now, what I thought kind of needed work. I know this is rated for, this is designed to get kids into Star Wars, and it's more from the kids' POV. Even though it's from the kids' POV, you don't have to have the parents be idiots.
No.
Right? You don't need to.
I disagree. That's actually one of the few things I thought this show did perfectly well.
Okay,
because
fair.
For the first time, we got Americans in Star Wars.
Okay.
Like, the amount of people I know in America that honestly believe they could just jump on a ship and cowboy through the universe, they're going to end up like these kids, faster sold into slavery than these kids did. Like, these kids knew for sure their parents weren't there, so they couldn't trust random strangers. But, name an adult. And now remember that if they were in this position, they would tell you that Judd was their friend until he stabbed them in the back. Right? Because that's basically all adults think they're smart enough to catch betrayal. And Judd is pretty good. But these kids are running off of kid instincts. We're messing with pirates. Some pirates are okay because some pirates go through the hero's journey. But most pirates are not okay. So let's keep looking at this guy, even though he's giving us all the signs that he's our friend. And any rational adult would accept him as their friend, as evidenced by all the people that kept helping Judd out, even though he regularly burned every one of his friendships. So these parents, legitimately, I hate to see parents getting put down.
Right.
So I was really happy to see that their level of naivete was not consistently and continuously broadcast. Because according to these parents, their world does work. Their parents died on this world. They've done everything in cyclical fashion for as long as they've done it.
Mm-hmm.
And now their kids are being typical kids. But now also there's a fleet of pirates that have just arrived. And the parents have never once gone to boot camp. They all got put into drones. And so when I say basic Americans, everybody thinks Red Dawn, oh yeah, we're going to actually grab our guns, run to the hills, and we'll be able to fight the Chinese. No. Most of you are going to go to work, and then your boss is going to be like, here's your new Chinese boss. And you'll be like, wait, I'm trying to leave. And you'll be like, yeah, we locked the doors after you got in. You were the last one. Right? because that's how it works in a normal invasion. Is it's so fast you don't have time to get to your bunker unless you were trained for an invasion, which is why the Americans came up with Minutemen, which we don't have anymore.
Shh! Don't tell America's enemies that, you idiot. This is the internet. There's
Really?
probably a Chinese who watches this.
Really?
Right now.
You don't
My
have
whole-
Minutemen anymore.
No,
Hold on.
Oh yeah,
Let me get
because
this
your
down.
5-round
Don't
mags
share
or
a secret.
capacity rifles
That
are going to
was-
be able to overtake our, 80 gajillion drum
Yeah.
rifles.
That was a high-brow double entendre. Because we do have Minutemen missiles, which can hit literally
That's right.
anyone within a minute.
Right. We have missiles, which we use computers, so we're basically protected by
No. Nope.
Oh
Not
God.
the Minutemen. The Minutemen do not use computers. The Minutemen are
Anyway.
legitimately artillery-fired rockets ready to just hit the spark, burn hot, and hit their destination regardless of everything.
All right.
In one
Anyway,
Yeah,
They're insanely
Dolly
scary.
Lightwood says, the thing is, on Rotten Tomatoes, the show has a good rating, so it's interesting that YouTube reviews don't match the facts. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, it's not surprising to me
Well,
because...
No, this is surprising to me because, like, who are you guys watching that's saying anything negative?
Just idiots I come across on X, Twitter.
Right. That is okay. So
I'm
that,
sorry.
Again, you're.
I'm sorry.
Wait.
I'm sorry. Some idiots. Some people
But you're-
articulate why they don't like the show, and those people are not the same as ones that are out
Okay.
doing the entertainment. I need to make that perfectly clear because there are people who legitimately hate Skeleton Crew and articulate why they don't like the show, and that's good. That's fine.
I haven't heard those yet.
Oh, you
That's
guys
that's why I'm trying to ask is because, like, all
I can
of
start
my
posting them in the
YouTubers,
Discord.
most of my, like, all the guys I follow for whatever we're usually watching, so I can see and make sure I'm not repeating everything they say, or if I do, I can give credit to where it's due. None of them watched Skeleton Crew. All of them said after Acolyte we're done, and they haven't watched another. They haven't done another stream about it. Like, as far as my channels go, we're the only channel that actually took the time to watch and react to this show. And so that's why I say, like, you guys are kind of reading the comments as commenters because, like, yeah,
they
there are
could
going to
be.
be people that
Well,
like and don't like things all the time. But at the same time, like, and this is more to my point about what we're trying to do with the show is, like, while there's always going to be negative Nancy's, and I'm not trying to pretend like we're going to be the thing that convinces everybody to change, I am trying to convince anybody that's a writer listening to us. We hear them too. And there's also still a way around them. Like,
well, here's what I would.
Skeleton Crew can actually be hit from any literary point. You
Well,
can.
here's what I would suggest to those who are watching. I'm going to issue you a little bit of a challenge. You've watched their reviews. You're watching what we say about it. Watch a few episodes yourself and see who you agree with. And if it's us, consider then, consider where your other channels are getting their information.
Well, no, share us to those guys that you like so that they can go, well, we can argue with them. And
Yeah.
we can argue with them. Like, that's.
I am more than
the
willing
point
to
of-
have them on our channel or go on their channel and have a friendly, reasonable debate of the merits of this show.
I do not know how friendly it'll be because I love debating Star Wars, but I won't attack them personally.
Yes, I never
outside of
would.
their Star Wars
No,
love.
never make it personal.
I
even-
will call them a Sith piece of dog trash if I have to.
No, I mean, I'd be straight up about it. I'd be like, look, this is what I'm seeing. This is what came across. I mean, 6-year-old me sitting with a bowl of Captain Crunch, in front of the TV, popping in a VHS tape, would have loved Skeleton Crew. Right?
Dude, I'm going to be honest. I don't think 6-year-old me would have loved it that much. And this is the biggest thing. My son wanted to watch it with me because he's in love with Star Wars because of Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, okay.
So like Disney, pay the studios that keep doing all these Lego animated shows. I know they exist. I've watched all of them on your channel. My son loves Lego everything. So pay them to make some of these Star Wars series because that's what the kids like. Double, you get Lego sales, you get Star Wars sales, you get Star Wars views, you get Lego views. Everybody's a winner on that party. And then take those sales and invest in Dave Filoni. This guy, John Waters, and was it Caleb Steele? I can't remember the
Yeah,
exact
they did a fantastic job, all said and done.
Invest in them, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And that's it. Like Kathleen Kennedy doesn't deserve a paycheck. Period. End of story. Every dollar you've given her is too much. She owes the company all of her shares back. She should buy herself out. That's how bad she has done for this franchise. That's how much money she has lost, the entire company. And just start investing in the individuals again. Clearly, you have some studios that know how to make good generic kid content. All of those Lego shows, that none of them stand even one iota to Clone Wars, but all of them are better than Acolyte. All of them are better than Ben Kenobi, the worst version of Obi-Wan I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, that's, to me, when it comes to how are we going to adjust course, well, we've been telling you for the last 2.5 years, and if you just tune in, we'll keep telling you, because like we just want the good content. We don't care who gets paid for it, as long as the people that made everything we hate get punished for it. I don't even care if you fire them, as long as you don't put them back as showrunners. Make them eat the shorts they failed to knit. Goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would really like to see the ones that are not producing decent content have to actually spend some time in the world. Like, go meet real people and talk to them.
Dude, they should be the ones that have to host the Comic-Cons.
Yeah. Send them out.
Host. And by that I mean like actually cater the tables, actually introduce yourselves to the actual fans that actually cry over Star Wars, no matter what version of it we get. Like, that's a true fan. I do get it. There are the negative Nancys that love being negative, but like, we haven't been sitting here crying because the characters were different colors. We have been crying because Skeleton Crew finally proved us right again.
Yeah.
Like, we knew what we wanted. Skeleton Crew is the least of it.
All right.
Mandalorian is the most of it so far.
Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, toys and Star Wars go hand in hand. Part of why the franchise was huge in the 1980s. Everyone wanted the toys. Also, Star Wars had mixed gender cast, meaning that girls were fans of Princess Leia and boys had lots of male characters to follow. It was balanced. No girl boss crap or politics. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Princess Leia was the baddest chick I've ever seen in any movie to date. By far the
girl
biggest boss.
Oh. No.
Get out of my way,
girl boss is a slang term. It's basically the new Karen. Because
it's not. It is. Princess Leia is the girl boss. Because in terms
Princess
of what
Leia
girl boss
is just a legitimately strong character on her own merits, and that's it.
Check this out. This is where it gets funny, because in terms of Princess Leia being like the definition of what every female writer in the modern era has been trying to attain, like George Lucas did it on his first try. The original Star Wars, now called Episode 4 A New Hope, Princess Leia is the most manly of all of the characters. There's a smuggler and a Wookiee that are freeing her, and she's, get out of my way, you peasant nerf herder. Like, the amount of just hate and vitriol she has from the moment she gets captured to the moment that she gets rescued, all the way till when Han is collecting his reward and leaving, she is still sassing him. And then she just gives him the reward because he actually comes back and wins. Like, she is a princess's princess through and through, but she needs Luke's help. She needs Han's help. She needs the Wookiees' help. She needs C-3PO's help. She needs R2-D2's help. She's a human being that actually needed help, and she sucked at asking for it.
Yeah.
Sucked at getting it. But it still made the story work. Like, she wasn't a bulldozer through the whole story. She wasn't a problem child. She was a full human being in a universe. And in the 70s, when women were still supposed to technically be borderline living in the kitchen. Like, George Lucas knew how to write an empowered woman in the 70s. And everybody told us that Star Wars is sexist and racist. Like, that's why I hate the people that came in and rewrote, because they called the one guy who got it right, and all the fans who loved him, they called him sexist and racist. Pull your head out of your ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take a look at, really sci-fi from the 70s to what I refer to as the sad puppy story era of sci-fi. It always had strong female characters. It's always had diverse groups of people. And it's always tackled societal issues in a way that was approachable and wasn't preaching. And that's what's changed since that era.
And human. Like, one of the things that all of them tried to do was tried to show you that men and women are equals for all intents, intelligence purposes. Like, everybody is capable of learning how the world works and adapting accordingly. How you adapt is based on your body type. Duh. Like, the strong try to get stronger, the weak try to get stronger. How is up to you, the individual. What version of strong do you want to be? But that's the individual. And that's what sci-fi always tries to remind us. You, the individual, despite the spectacular nature of the universe, are still capable of being a ray of sunshine, a beacon of hope,
so
light within the darkness, or to quote Judd, pinprick of light in the darkest galaxy possible.
Yeah, so Dahlia says, here's the thing though, Leia was able to fall in love with Han. There's zero romance in Star Wars now, which means there is nothing to drive the plot. Leia had a character arc. She went from being snobby to falling in love with Han. That doesn't happen.
But she
now.
remained a princess. And that's the coolest thing, is she didn't need to get put in her place. She needed to fall in love with Han, the man for who Han was always. Han didn't need to change and be put in his place. For Leia to fall in love with Leia, they met each other where they were, as human adults are supposed to, and bonded through kinship and perseverance. And then some reason got married, had a kid, got divorced, because that's what happened to J.J. Abrams' parents, I guess.
Well, okay. I would actually argue that it's almost a good thing that there isn't a romance plot, at least in Skeleton Crew. Because I don't think we needed the kid puppy love story arc.
I think that Jod and SM-33 had a lot of tension there that needed to be explored.
Stop reading my fanfic.
Hey, man. No, you know what? Hey, man, no Robo.
No Robo. Yeah. No, there's that's right, and obviously that's not what we're talking about, because it's more to do with the sequel trilogy. It says women are portrayed as Dahlia Lightwood says women are portrayed as power-hungry bitches with no sex drive because giving a woman sexuality is supposedly sexist now instead of being normal. They did the same thing to Snow White, and now they wonder why nobody likes a power-hungry bitch with no other agenda except being queen. Boring. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Look,
but I mean, nobody likes a guy who's a power-hungry tyrant. That's what I mean. Is that's what George Lucas knew from the jump is he didn't write Princess Leia as if she was girl boss princess superhero saves the galaxy. She was princess
So
in a universe. Like, what is a princess? Everybody knows what a princess is. Snobby, snooty, rich kid. Wait a minute. She's actually the resistance?
Okay.
Get to the center of your screens, please. It's time for pop culture.
Okay. Actually, do you want me to present? Because I've got a couple of more pieces than just this.
Yeah, I'll do the stories, and then we'll save your nugget. Keep it off the screen, if that works.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just get it ready for us here, okay?
Sounds perfect. All right, so, for those of you who didn't know, hold on, I got a comment I gotta read. Let's see. Simon Dust 64 says, "Hi, I keep streaming in the background. Thank you, Simon Dust 64. We greatly appreciate all of our lurkers and commenters and everybody who helps. Thank you for your contribution in thank you for being a sponsor of tonight's show.
Thank you for your service."
Yeah, exactly. If you comment, if you like, if you subscribe, if you share this, you are a sponsor of the Writer Brothers tonight, and we appreciate it. So for those
oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, for those who don't know, the actor who played Baylan Skoll in season 1 of Ahsoka sadly passed away before the show even aired, and well, his role was incredible. He was probably the best character of the entire show. Without a doubt, had a lot of intrigue and that I felt we needed more than 8 episodes to understand. So with that, recasting has taken place, and it sounds like Rory McCann, who played the Hound in Game of Thrones, will now be taking over the role as Baylan Skoll. And
so there are some cool things about this too. Ray Stevenson and Rory McCann were very, very good friends in real life.
It's all yours.
Okay. So they were actually very, very good friends in real life. And they had actually spoken about the role together and kind of helped flush out the backstory and the, the motivations of the character behind the scenes. So this is actually a really good choice to replace Ray Stevenson if you're going to make it, if you have to do it at all. There was a lot of talk about them CGing Ray Stevenson in. There was talk about a couple of other things, but I'm actually glad they made this choice. It potentially saves money. It does justice and respect to the character that they created and allows production to move forward, which is set to start their principal photography in 2026. So they've got some time for Rory to get used to the role and get, into character and be able to do the role justice. I think this might be a very good choice. We've seen him play similar characters to the Baylan Skoll series if you're like a Brit viewer, because he's done a lot of different roles over the years. I think this could work very well. I also like that, we're going to see where the arc that had him involved in goes. He played the head of the Praetorian Guard in Gladiator 2. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch that, but he did a fantastic job in it and was very stoic and very much like Baylan Skoll. So if you want a little bit of a preview of what's to come, you've got it.
Well, and playing the Hound, I mean, Baylan just had just an F the Empire and F the Emperor aura about his character, and that he just didn't care about any of it because he was on his own thing. And so, honestly, I think we probably picked the perfect successor for the role, and it's sad that we don't get any more Ray Stevenson because he just...
Oh, he was amazing on it.
Right? There was so much with that character that...
Well, dude, I would go so far as to say there was nothing with that character. Like, he did such an awesome job for somebody that passed away.
Yeah,
like, in terms of the torch, like, he didn't hog the screen. He wasn't, like, Thrawn, you can't really replace that guy because that Thrawn nailed it. He feels exactly like the Thrawn in Rebels. He feels exactly like what we're...
That's because he is the Thrawn in Rebels, but anyway.
Right. So he's irreplaceable. Whereas, like, unfortunately, Ray set himself up perfectly to be replaced. In the sense that, like, Rory can come in and take Balon anywhere. And it will feel like what we were waiting to see with what Ray gave us. Like, Ray gave us a taste, but not so much that he hogged the spotlight. And I think that's impressive. And if anything, like, this is why you don't fuck with Star Wars. Because there have been a number of actors that have left room for other people to come in and fill their spotlight. And it's hard. So I think, like, if they nail this, if Rory comes in and crushes it, it goes to prove my biggest point, which is that Star Wars isn't so much about the individual characters as it is about the entire universe. It's about how much the characters actually are drops in a vast ocean that do cause ripples, that do butterfly into the craziest effects ever. But, like, man, Rory McCann, especially the way they ended Game of Thrones, his character, exactly like you said, he was doing what Balon Skull was doing. He was just walking off, trying to figure out where to go next.
Yeah.
So, like, him as a person is exactly who I would expect. Like, he would have been one of the ones that, like, helped the Emperor and then was just like, this is dumb. I'm out. Like, the moment Kylo showed up.
Yeah, he would have walked off. Okay. So, moving on to our next piece.
Well, real quick, Cosmic Vader says, unfortunately, the Thrawn from Rebels and Ahsoka is the one written by Dave Filoni, not the one by Timothy Zahn.
So Timothy Zahn did,
of.
Timothy Zahn did consult on the Ahsoka series and did help flush out Thrawn. So
Okay.
what I think you're seeing in Ahsoka is a hybrid of the two.
Yeah.
As opposed to just one or just the other.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the coolest thing is, like, there's a version of Star Wars where Dave Filoni is writing the books and everybody else is writing the movie for his books.
Yeah.
And I think that's where what you said, Timothy Zahn. Timothy Zahn. So Timothy Zahn is probably, like, trying his best. And I that's what I mean. Like, I felt it with Thrawn that, like, he didn't fail. It just wasn't enough time for him to cook on that screen.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It felt like a very Thrawn plan to me. I mean, spoilers for Ahsoka for those who haven't seen it, but his logic was like, I don't have to kill these guys. I just have to slow them down long enough for me to get out of here and leave them here. You know, I don't have to win. I just don't. Right. I just have to not lose and make sure they don't win.
Exactly. And his biggest thing was, I'm leaving. It does not matter to me if they come with even. To some extent, like, his biggest thing is getting out of there.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else's goal is keeping him there and killing him there. And it's like, that is a fun version of Star Wars. I don't like when it's so obvious, like, this guy punches this guy. It's got to be more of, like, one guy's trying to go left while the other's trying to go forward.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, well, he'll have to move on. But yeah, Cosmic Vader says, I call him Grand Admiral Copium. Failing was part of my plan. I have to remember what exactly referencing to, but that's okay. All right, next.
Okay, so the WWE star Seth Rollins came out recently saying that he, we would all been heard the hype that he was going to have a role in Captain America: Brave New World, but apparently that role has been cut. And he points out that there's been a huge amount of rewrites and reshoots on this movie. Now, the reason why this is important is, one, it actually confirms a lot of the rumors we've been hearing that Brave New World had a massive set of reshoots. It was originally actually going to be called Captain America: New World Order. Um, so there's been a huge amount of changes. Characters have been cut, entire plot lines have been rearranged. So what this does tell me, looking at the information that we've been able to dig through in the various articles, and I brought this article up because it was one of the more important ones. It looks to be like a lot of the DEI, if you will, components to Captain America Brave New World may have been removed and replaced with things that are more in touch with actual modern audiences. Which is interesting if they're actively pulling 180s on movies now to try to win back fandom.
Yeah, with how much money's been lost at this point, and no amount of the negative reactions economy is recouping the losses. That's the thing. Call back to what Dahlia was bringing up earlier with hate channels. I mean, it was working for the moment, but it's not a sustainable business model. Hate is a temporary emotion that subsides as quickly as anger can. Can it last longer? Can it don't get me wrong, but the people that hate actually leads to the dark side, it starts to require more of a commitment, and most people just get bored and just move on to those other things. That's why we're not a hate channel, because we know that that's just not. We want to do this for, I don't know, probably the rest of our lives if we really want it. But it's not going to be worth it if we're just out there, claiming a bunch of fake hate. And so a lot of these
Yep.
movies have been losing money. And so now but the negative reactions are not making up the differences any longer. Because nobody wants to play it. They just want to go watch the movies that they love. And that's why, Skeleton Crew will probably see more of a surge in the long run, simply because it's not bad. It's not the best Star Wars ever, but it's not bad.
No. It's going to be perennial, I think. Like, it's going to be one of those that, like, has a trickle of views for basically forever and is going to justify its existence that way.
Yeah.
So with this, though, I mean, the fact that they've gone and they've cut this dude's character completely, right? And that he's now talking out about the movie, because if he's not in the movie, he shouldn't have to worry about the NDA, right? And he's not really upset about it because he's going back to what he loves, which is wrestling, which I guess is kind of a different type of acting, really.
A lot more sweaty hugging involved. I guess I can see the appeal.
You guys do you. I don't need to get that oiled when I'm, hanging out with a dude, but okay. But yeah, that's an interesting piece, is that they're cutting characters. They're doing full rewrites, and they're trying to salvage scripts already in production. That should say a lot. And it really points to the tide is turning in 2025.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything from the chat here? Or?
No, not with this story.
Okay.
It seems
okay.
Seems we caught up.
Moving on.
Oh, hold on. Cosmo Vader says, "Pro wrestling is Americana, like jazz, comics, and greasy food." Yeah.
Yep. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about the LA fire, the major fires that have been going on in LA. Now for the record, I believe I can speak, universally for the Wright brothers when we firmly believe that fire, unrestricted fire is bad. But the key piece to this is, because of all of these fires, there are significant projects that are getting delayed that may impact that, given that we're just getting out of the fallout from the writers' strike. This is going to delay things even further. So anybody who is expecting live action series to just kind of pick up again, or live action movies, don't be shocked if there isn't significant movie delays in the next 6 months to a year. That everything's going to get pushed back a fair bit. So, I guess the best way to say this is, if you're an indie person working in not LA, now is your golden time to produce that thing you've always wanted to, because you're probably going to get a theater slot that you wouldn't have normally gotten. That all being said, also, for those who know, Cameron Pasha is an absolute friend of this channel, and his house was in the path of the blaze, but through some pure coincidence, we'll call it, it seems that the fire has left him and his neighbors completely untouched.
Good. Glad to hear that.
So up until he's back in his house for now, there's still a risk. So he's continuing asking for any thoughts, prayers, or mystical mojo we feel like sending his way. But at this point, he's in a place that is tenuous but good.
Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, I grew up in LA. This is a tragedy beyond words. Lots of places that I grew up here are gone now. Yeah, it's just been insane to watch on X and
well, they figure they've lost about $1 billion in damages.
I mean, that's just, yeah. I mean, I hope that the very least the death toll can at least stays low. I mean, for how much damage has been done, the fact that it's only 16 right now is
I think it speaks to the courage and the skill of those people trying to protect everyone else.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, at least in that regard, it's so far a better resolution than what happened in Paradise, California a couple of years ago, where the entire town was destroyed, and sadly I think most of the people were too. Because that just showed up out of nowhere. But at the same time, I mean, there's a lot, like Dahlia said, there's a lot along the Pacific Coast Highway, along Pasadena, places that have been historic and have been there for years, places that people have gone to regularly, even whether it's just a visit on vacation or locals who live there. I mean,
there was an occult library. There's an occult library in Pasadena that had manuscripts and books and everything from the 1400s that is completely gone.
Oh, jeez.
Right? I mean, this is taking pieces of history with it.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. Dahlia says, the weather and air quality and constant fires were a huge reason why I moved to Vegas, plus Cali is ridiculously overpopulated to the point they need to take action. It's, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that went wrong here, but the biggest one, I mean, even if they had full resources, I don't think it would have made it that much of a difference in their response to stop anything, because these 100-mile-an-hour winds with...
They had literal fire tornadoes, right? Yeah. Like, what are you going to do to that, right?
It's the fire's blowing sideways most of the time, and just sending embers everywhere. Like, it is.
Yeah, like, so there is no funding you can provide a firefighter department that can deal with a fire tornado. Yeah. I mean, sorry, but it's true, right?
So, yeah, thoughts and prayers and vibrations, of course.
Good vibes and all those sort of things, right?
Those who need to heal and move on, and hopefully,
yeah.
Well, we'll see how the city bounces back. I mean,
let's hope it does. I mean, hopefully this will also encourage people to be nicer and kinder to their neighbors, right? Because they're all in this together now. So,
well, that's the one that is something. I mean, if you happen to be somebody affected by these fires, and you're even if you're just mid to low profile actor, whatever, you're now going to understand some of your fans' in a very unique way that you're now connected to them in a way that you're not going to be able to understand. Like this has been a very humanizing event in a lot of ways, where people are now quickly learning that, yeah, unless you're a billionaire top tier A-list celeb, most people who have celebrity status might know a couple more people they can couches they can crash on. They're not immune
something
to
make
these
you
things.
something to make you aware of, though. I did find one person who was most definitely affected by this. Kathleen Kennedy's house burnt down. Moving on.
That's a real
Look, thing.
I feel bad for Mark Hamill losing his house. He didn't deserve that. Man, you say a name like that, and I'm like, bummer. All right.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Moving
very
on.
Sad.
Yes, very sad. Moving
sad.
on.
All right. Now to the moment that some of you have all been waiting for.
So, Cameron Pasha has heard from his man on the inside, Sparrow. And apparently Disney is looking to build out more a new animated series. They're planning on doing one initially, and they've picked 4 concepts that they're looking at to do. I will, go through them one at a time here. Number 1 is a retooling of Rangers of the New Republic as an animated show. The idea is it'll focus on the these Rangers of the New Republic working out on the frontier of
Cosmic
known space.
Vader interrupts.
Hit it.
I'm blaming Cosmic Vader for this one. Maybe Darth Karen will now understand what it does, or what does it feel like to see your treasured memories being burned to the ground. Yeah, Dahlia Lightwood says, I've got nothing to say about that. It's like, I know. It's like, just...
I thought I'd put you guys into a little bit of a moral quandary. You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, she also says Paris Hilton's mansion burned down too, but I think hasn't she been like stepping up on the charity stuff and to help people? Yeah.
She's actually doing the work.
She's turned out to be really good. I'm very happy for her for that.
Yeah. So, Rangers of the New Republic will be set in that Mando timeline, and like I said, it'll focus on a team that's going to be trying to bring law and order to the lawless reaches of the Far Outer Rim. So, could be good. They're talking about reoccurring characters that could show up in the series, of course, Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, Ezra potentially. Members of Skeleton Crew and Rebels could all be showing up. So, kind of cool in that regard. Knights of the Old Republic is the next one on the list.
This is the only one that really matters, but anyway.
So, we all remember fondly the Knights of the Old Republic video games and the MMORPG, and this would be set in that timeline. It would have Darth Revan as the primary antagonist to our Republic heroes as they deal with the Sith Empire versus the Old Republic. It's definitely a interesting idea. This is Sparrow's personal favorite. I can kind of see why. Okay.
It's the best one on there.
All right. Third on the list is tentatively called The Hidden Path. It's based on, in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, we had a kind of underground railroad for Jedi and Force sensitives. This would feature that, shadowy organization trying to get Jedi to safety. And it would probably be helmed by Cal Kestis of the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games as the man behind it all. Now, Cal Kestis is a fan favorite character. He's very, very well received. The actor who plays him is very into doing the character in any way he can. This has potential. This has legs. I don't see it going more than 2 seasons, though, because I think there's only so many times you can watch people, rescue some kid that happens to be Force sensitive and sneak them out Beyond the Rim or something.
Honestly,
so, I don't know.
it sounds like a decent, short story kind of thing. And I mean, all right, I'll let you say the last one, and then we'll bring the post.
We'll go
down.
through them all.
Yeah.
The last option here is tentatively Star Wars Tales. So we've had Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire that were basically existing to fill in plot holes in the Filoniverse, right? To give us more information about what happened to certain characters and when and what have you. This would be an option to do that through the entire Star Wars series. So every episode would follow a different character. We'd have, maybe a pirate episode one week, and maybe a Jedi episode the next week, and like a Sith character from one of the books or something the week after. That would be the idea of this series. It gives them an opportunity to clear up some of the plot holes that they've developed, and potentially allows them to create new stories and see where the fans' interests are for the long term. If they see a specific era gets a lot more attention, maybe they set the next movie in that era. So I think all of them do have merit.
So,
but let's go through them.
Star Wars Theory made a good point. No, wait, sorry, it wasn't Theory. It's the other guy I follow. Or no. Or maybe it's both of them. I don't know. A couple of people I follow made some points that right now, like, to save Star Wars, it's really got to have a banger or two. Now, I do think Andor Season 2 is going to be a huge banger. And it still doesn't come out till April, so that'll give some time. There also shouldn't be any major holidays interrupting the season, so we'll probably be able to actually get through it. I loved Andor Season 1. Without a doubt, some of the best compelling, highbrow Star Wars that shows that we can have intelligent Star Wars. Rangers, I don't think is going to be enough to carry to get the hype back,
that
because it's just, we have the uncertainty of Gina Carano being in her lawsuit with Disney. Will she reprise the role? And even if she does, is that even going to make a difference now? Like, I know there's a lot of people that are pro Gina Carano, will be happy to go watch it and support that, but how many in the grand, fandom of Star Wars are going to respond that way? And even how many are fans of Gina Carano aren't even going to give a shit? So, like, I'm sorry, it's just the whole thing's been dragged out to this point, and she tried that whole independent film thing that ended up just being a giant commercial for the Daily Wire. So,
yeah,
I don't really see this one being. Now, The Hidden Path, I think you hit the nail on the head right out of the gate. How many episodes can you really crank out of, save the potential younglings, save the... How much of Order 66 was subverted? And then, at what point are we just going to get to the point where the entire era between the sequels and the original, or the prequels and the original trilogy, no, all the Jedi were just alive. They were just... don't tell anybody. So...
Yeah, they're all sitting on some planet in the Outer Rim somewhere, just biding their time.
Star Wars Tales, I think you can do, honestly, while any of these other three shows are going, simply because with Tales being small and condensed the way it was, like we did Tales of the Empire and then I guess Tales of the Jedi, like, this is something that doesn't necessarily need to have a regular season. It's something that you could just drop like 3 to 6 episode arcs every 3 to 6 months or so.
Right.
It's one of those. It's kind of more like, I see this kind of being similar to short treks for Star Wars, and I think that's
okay.
I would not make this a flagship series.
Okay.
Yes, I have a lot of bias for Knights of the Old Republic. I love Knights of the Old Republic. It is one of the best gaming experiences I ever had. I also love the game SWTOR, some of the best story stuff I've been able to experience there. I think it is a universe that everybody, especially non-gamers, need to be able to experience and be immersed in. And I also think it's probably the one show that could really get it back, because when it came out, it was so special. it was so unique. It was like, here we had a Jedi character with a double-bladed lightsaber. Now, people probably, are so used to all these crazy different types of lightsabers. Thank you, AI art, for making General Grievous have like 80 gajillion legs. The whole point is that it's you don't really think about it, but that was like a big deal. And the story was just something you got to experience it at least once. And not everybody's a gamer, so that's why I'm excited to see some. So now this looks like a prequel to Knights of the Old Republic, because they're saying, excuse me, not to spoil anything, but yeah, Revan is an antagonist, so it looks like we're gonna be talking about Revan's Sith years, which would be before the game, and that I think could really work, because KOTOR, the only people who didn't like it were those that couldn't get into the gameplay, and that's a valid criticism. The gameplay inadvertently aged well, because now you can download Knights of the Old Republic on your mobile phone, and it's still a great experience. But it's not the same, and it's time to be told in a television medium. And I think a Star Wars animated series is a good way to go with that. So
and let's be honest, HK-47 does deserve his own series.
Yeah.
So those are the big leaks about the animated side of things. There are some leaks for Ahsoka season 2. Okay. First, with Rory coming on to play Baylan Skoll, his time constraints are like, he has very serious time constraints in 2026 about where he needs to be. So they're changing the order of how they're going to deal with stuff in Ahsoka season 2. It looks like they're going to do a Mortis arc, then split the season, and then the other half of the season will be dealing with the World Between Worlds pieces. And by that time, Kathleen Kennedy may very well be out of the picture, and they can remove the sequel trilogy without it having anyone to protect it.
At this point, I'm on the we'll believe it when we see it train, just because we've reported wrong information before. We've hyped up.
They also said that this is like fluid as it stands right now, so we'll see where it goes. The other two pieces of information that are still fluid in terms of the text is, we found out what Thrawn, as of the original writing of the script, what Thrawn was smuggling off of that planet.
Yeah. Oh, Dahlia says she is all for animated shows. So consumer
awesome.
report.
So supposedly what he was smuggling off of that world was an army of Night Sisters in stasis. Now, if you've read the Heir to the Empire Timothy Zahn books, you'll know that the original plan was to clone an army of Jedi to fight for the Thrawn's empire. This could be the replacement they have in mind for that.
I don't know. I hope they don't necessarily replace that concept, but if they want to incorporate it into the plan, I think it works. And I think that's very...
I think it would be an interesting point of his to, when he comes back and the Imperial Remnant goes, "Oh yeah, what are you bringing here?" And he goes, "I have an army of Night Sisters." Yeah. And everyone kind of goes, "Oh, fair deal," right? Like, "Oh, okay, that's terrifying," right?
Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, leaks often released to misdirect people. That is correct. There is bad information that does get out there. In fact, that actually reminds me to bring that up. Thank you, Dahlia, for the reminder, because I do believe I bookmarked it on the X Twitters. See if I can find it. Ah, yes. Here it is. If it wants to pull up. Oh, right. It does that stupid side post thing now. So here we are. From Mandoverse Updates at Mando3 Updates. The main plot of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is rumored to be about Mando and Grogu rescuing Rada against Embo, who wants to kill Rada. So now we're like further retconning the plot of the Clone Wars movie.
Yeah.
And oh man, does that just sound dumb?
Yeah.
So to what Dahlia is suggesting, yeah, I completely agree. I think that they're that one I do think is misinfo, but I do think that the stuff about the 4 shows is a legit intentional leak.
To gauge interest.
It's more like an informal press release to gauge interest, to see what people say. And here's my interest. Hey John, hey Dave, KOTOR.
Now, for those watching, I would like to translate. I would like to translate my friend's words here. I believe he would appreciate a Knights of the Old Republic series, especially if we get to see Darth Revan as the antagonist, as my friend is quite engaged and interested in following a series of that nature.
Exactly. I would like to. I would like to know more.
The urge to know more intensifies.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to the next
Dahlia
story.
Lightwood says, an army of witches sounds cool, LOL. Then the Jedi can slaughter the girl boss army.
Right?
The best scene in Acolyte was the Force Yeet scene. I'd watch another season of it. Yeah, that's what I hated most about the Acolyte. I was like, damn, that was actually, that was cool. It had some cool ideas, but unfortunately, cool ideas don't mean anything without a good plot. We think we'd learn this from Michael Bay.
So you remember Ferran Tahir? He was the guy who played, Raska, I believe it was, in the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
He was yeah. He's back in the new Vision series. He somehow survived and is going to be in the new Vision series called Vision Quest.
Somehow Farhan Tahir returned. Nobody dies. It's great. Oh, this is...
Well, except for Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben always dies.
Uncle Ben always. That's why I liked that they did it in the Tom Holland one. He's already dead, so...
Yeah.
I think they made him a dead beat. Anyway,
yeah. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. For the record, I have heard Ferran talk. The guy is awesome. He is a great actor, and I look forward to seeing him on screen again, because the character was actually not powerful but very menacing, and that was kind of enjoyable about it. Like, you know, given that he's in a world where there are people that can't be matched, this dude was actually holding his own. So yeah. I like it.
Cosmic Vader says, no, Tom Holland doesn't have an Uncle Ben. Yeah, he's already left before even the movie started. It's like it's for modern audiences. Yeah. Dahlia Lightwood says, they killed off Jackie Lawn. I will never forgive Acolyte for bumping off their hottest character in like the 3rd episode. A totally stupid move. The whole series was stupid. I can't. It had a couple of cool Force power stuff, but like we can lift those and put those in
somewhere
Ahsoka season
acceptable.
2. Yeah. We'll take all the good stuff, which is just all the cool Force concepts, put them in a new show, and give the new show credit.
Yeah. Now, one last story, and this is basically for me because I'm becoming quite the fanboy of this franchise. Helldivers 2 is getting a movie.
Shout out to Drake and Blaze, who plays that shit religiously.
Yeah, hey man, the game is wonderfully addictive. And the movie is more or less heavily influenced by Starship Troopers, the Paul Verhoeven one. So we're going to get more of that level of insanity. So we might get a Do You Wish to Learn More sequel.
Well, that would be like the 5th one, though, wouldn't it? Because there's like 4 Starship Troopers movies.
Yeah, but the made to video ones were terrible.
Direct to DVD, yeah.
Yeah. Now, there is a rumor that the movie is going to have a star-studded cast. that will all get annihilated in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then the real cast shows up and continues the mission, which would be hilarious. And if you know
Maybe.
anything about how Helldivers works, that is pretty accurate.
Oh yeah, no, I've been following it. It's pretty much Starship Troopers. So
yep.
I guess they're just doing a Starship Troopers remake now. I don't know. Either
yeah,
way,
it's a spiritual successor, I guess. But I thought it was hilarious, and I thought it was worth mentioning. I'm actually cautiously optimistic about it. My only concern is Sony Entertainment is making it, and they have made 3 very terrible genre movies over the last little while.
Yeah.
So there we go.
So, all right. Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed. We went into extended innings by 26 minutes, I think, or whatever. But we will be back to our regularly scheduled stuff. I don't know if we're going to go back to the 8:30 time slot or do the 9. We'll have to talk about it this week and get our schedule back up and running and figure out what we're doing. But
yeah,
starting this week, we're going to get a new loading screen. I've already got the footage for it, so I just got to make the time. We're going to be getting a bunch of goals set in place. We're going to be growing the channel. We're going to be streaming on Twitch more. That's where our games are at.
And for my channel, I'm going to be releasing a members-only video tomorrow on why the Prime Directive is a terrible idea and why it doesn't work.
Nice.
And so that'll be the first of multiple long-form videos. They're going to be channel exclusives for a month, and then they will be released up to the general public.
Yeah. So, thank you all for watching. I'm Peter York of the Writer Brothers, and we will see you when we see you. Oh wait, shit, I forgot. I'm sorry. Real quick, I gotta close the poll. Totally forgot about the poll. We had 5 votes. Hey, it looks like everybody wants Lego Star Wars. Because all 3 answers were yes. But all right. I'll see you when I see you. Good night.